been a presentation of ABC Sports.
Continue his hot streak, and he's in just a position to do so. The Rook looks to stretch his lead, and he's on just the course to do so. But there's someone in his rear view who loves to take it to the streets as well. Others just try to get back on track. But is this really the way to do it? And we'll head out to wine country where they have no regard for the speed limit. In a week of milestones, Kenny Bernstein reaches one of his own. Our favorite funny man does something he hasn't done all year. That's probably not a milestone he'd like to reach. And we'll look back at the latest piece to DJ's championship puzzle. So keep your eyes wide open. You might just miss something good. RPM Tonight is next. Hi there, glad to have you with us on RPM Tonight. I'm Reese Davis. The day after the Brickyard, we'll have more fallout from Indianapolis, who's aligning themselves with a band of outlaws. But first, the hits just keep coming from Motown. The track for the Grand Prix of Detroit is narrow and has a reputation of being a layout on which it's virtually impossible to execute a pass. Yet only twice has the pole sitter won the race. Michael Andretti in 1990 and Robbie Gordon in 95. That likely leaves Juan Montoya undaunted. He grazed the wall during his qualifying run and still won the pole. He said it didn't help, didn't slow him down that much either, though. Green flag. Montoya on the pole for the 5th time. Tracy and Franchitti behind him. But in turn 1, Max Pappas, Patrick Carpentier together. Pappas into the tire jungle. We sell tires for less. Bad luck late in the last race and early in this one for Pappas. After the restart, Franchitti goes inside of his teammate Tracy and passes him to take over second. They were all chasing Montoya. Lap 24, Jan Magnussen driving to P.J. Jones. Looks inside of Robbie Gordon. He shouldn't have looked there. They're into the tires. Both of them continue. Not a factor, though. The restart on lap 28, and this is a nasty racing deal here. Mauricio Gugelmin, Patrick Carpentier, they got in there together. Take another look at this thing. Gugelmin's left tire on Carpentier's head before Gugelmin did the barrel roll. Now, Carpentier has cervical back strain. He'll be out of the hospital on Monday. He has already been cleared to drive next week. He's complaining of neck and back pain. That's certainly good news. During the caution, Gilles de Ferran, who was 5th, hit the wall while warming up his tires, and that'll get you beat. After the restart, Montoya 2.3 seconds up at 44. Michel Jourdain parks it, and then Peyton Coyne just not a good day because Mimo Gidley got a memo to stop too. During the caution, most of the leaders come to the pits, but not Montoya. But it was a dope. He missed the signal to come into the pits, miscommunication. Now Ganassi has to change his race strategy. Basically says go flat out, wide open, full rich, fast as you can. He builds a 15-second lead. Got to come in at some point, so he does on lap 59. Montoya, good pit stop by Rob Hill's boys, but Montoya gets out of there 9th. Franchitti, Tracy Moore running 1, 2, 3. 9th's not the place to be on this course trying to come back. Montoya was on the move. Coming up on Roberto Moreno, and he tries to pass, and both of the guys are into the spin cycle. Caution would come out. Montoya in all kind of harm's way there, but he got it started now the way. Lap 66, Cristiano D'Amato and Al Unser Jr. in a nasty-looking crash. That's D'Amato's car getting the worst of it. Watch how that tethering thing's working to keep that tire on there. No injuries, 6th caution. Now, during the caution, car puts the 2-hour time limit in effect. Franchitti's leading, and he looks up at the pace car, and he tells everybody, hey, that thing's dumping fuel all over the track. The car is a backup pace car. The pace car goes off the course to bring the backup one out. But some of the guys think they're restarting, including Helio Castro Neves, who dashed right into the back of Montoya. And this is how Montoya saw it, or rather a better way to describe it would be how he felt it. Got it from behind and slammed right in there. Why you need some turn signals or something on those cars. Montoya not pleased. He shouldn't be. He would end up 17th. You see Castro Neves on 3 tires to finish 7th. The race would not go green again, and there was much rejoicing in the Team Cool Green area because Dario Franchitti wins again. Team Cool Green's 1-2 finish for the 2nd time in 3 races. Franchitti and Tracy have shaken that habit of running into each other and replaced it by running up front. Greg Moore finishes 3rd. He'd been 20th and 23rd in his last 2 races. 2-time Detroit winner Michael Andretti's 4th, Vassar 5th, his first top 5 since Milwaukee 6 races ago. Kanaan follows up his U.S. 500 win with a 6th place finish. Everybody was chasing Dario Franchitti at the end.
The team is working at a very high level at the moment. It wasn't, not the way we like to win races under yellow. but we'll take it anyway. At the start, we didn't have the best car. I think we worked on it, and I think middle to the end, we did have the best car, and we would have been a match. When he was pulling away from us after the first stop, we were saving some fuel, so I was pretty happy with the result.
Team's definitely got some confidence going, but it's a fight every week. I mean, these street courses are tough. One little mistake can put you so far behind like it did Dario on Friday, and you know, you just got to keep on pushing and pushing all weekend long. And you know, if we can keep doing what we've been doing with Team Cool Green, hopefully we can end up 1-2 in the championship.
Paul and Dario realize they're using each other to get where they're at. You know, Paul saved the weekend by qualifying well on Friday, first on Friday, second on Saturday, helped Dario get up to fourth. You know, tremendous team effort, worked together today. Paul, little trouble in the first stint today, and you know, Dario got by him. But it's all Team Cool Green, and like I said, first and fourth in the championship. Great day.
Well, Team Green has indeed been red hot in its last 3 races. Franchitti and Tracy have scored a combined 97 points, more than double any other team's total individually. Nobody even close to the numbers that those two have put up. Well, Greg Moore, he had a nice run in this one, snapping a couple of bad outings. Of course, he's got himself a new job next year with Penske, but he did quite well in his old one on Sunday.
My guys deserve this one for sure. I mean, they put me from 8th to 4th on that first stop, and you know, any team who does that deserves a big kudo. And definitely, there's no doubt about it, which team was the best in the pits today, and you know, that's what got us up to where we are. Obviously, would have liked to win, but I think all things considered, still pretty good.
We kept our nose clean, and I was really hoping for a charge there in the end. I wish those last 2 yellows wouldn't have come out, because I was building up enough fuel to really go for it in the end, and I think we could have made things really interesting.
We had a decent race. You know, it's a good start for us. We had a hard time getting to the finish line and having nothing go wrong, but my heart goes out to Juan. That was a terrible thing to have happen there.
Very much an embarrassing moment. In fact, I mean, I was trying very hard to warm the tires up to make sure I had a good restart, you know, because obviously we fell back a little bit on the first start. So I was very conscious to get as much temperance in the tires as I could. Trying very hard to do that, and I guess I tried too hard and made a mistake. The car went straight into the wall on the left, and I mean, it's nothing to say, but I have to apologize for the whole team for my own mistake.
All right, so the PPG Cup standings now go a little something like this. 13 of 20 races now completed, and Dario Franchitti is your new leader. He's up by 5 on Juan Montoya. Montoya gets a point for the pole and for leading the most laps, but he's failed to score with his race finishes in 3 of his last 4 outings. Andretti third, 17 back. Tracy, as you heard Barry Green mention, closing in. Moore's first podium since Milwaukee has him in 6th place, tied with the injured Adrian Fernandez. Moore's future Penske teammate DeFerrin sits in 8th, and the super sub Roberto Moreno holds 12th despite missing 4 races earlier this year. Well, Juan Montoya clearly had the fastest car on Belle Isle, but his day fulfilled the age-old adage, be sure your sins will find you out. Montoya seemingly escaped judgment for one, only to be punished because it caused him to be in the way of another's transgression later. Jan Beekes reports.
Certainly an absolutely wild race here today on Belle Isle, and the action wasn't necessarily up at the front. It was back in the field, and in particular, the issue about the pace car. It was leaking fuel. Some teams said they knew they were going to replace the pace car. Other teams didn't.
I don't know. I mean, somehow they were switching the pace cars or something. I think everybody thought it was going green. It wasn't. And Castro Neves drove up the back of us. I don't know what he was thinking about.
Yeah, the pace car just turned off the lights and just swapped right at the end. So, you know, everybody thought it was going to go green. And they, I don't know. I'm not going to, you know, I can't say the same thing I said last time because I get in trouble, you know. You can't say anything here, so.
Another key issue during the race, of course, came down to strategy. Chip Ganassi wanted to bring Juan Montoya onto pit road to get fuel, but in fact he stayed out on the racetrack, and that miscommunication may have cost them the race. Now, that strategy still would have worked if they had not received the yellow, but Ganassi says still they blew it on that strategy.
Certainly was our race to win, and I guess you got to look at the guy in the pits that makes the calls that made a mistake.
We made a big mistake in the pits. They told me stay out. And when the, you know, Chip, then, I don't know, I think he was trying to keep the guys here or something and just say stay out. I don't know if he was saying to me stay out to the guys, but he had the button press, so he talked to me. And then he said, hey, why you didn't pit? You told me stay out. Oops.
Now, of course, this changed the whole complexion of the points themselves. If you look now, Dario Franchitti finds himself leading the championship. Juan Montoya slips behind. So with that huge momentum he had at the beginning of the season, is it starting to fade? Team Cool Green again, another 1-2 on a street circuit, and we go to another road course at Mid-Ohio next week. Should be awesome. The racing has been so exciting in the kart series, and now the championship is even closer. Reporting from Belle Isle, Jan Beekes, ESPN.
All right, Jan, and you know what? Probably pretty fortunate that championship race is close at all. Montoya has 4 wins. It could be 7. This is the 3rd time this season he's led more laps than anyone and didn't get a win to show for it. In fact, his best finish in those other races, 10th, and only at Elkhart Lake could a breakdown be blamed. Montoya had a transmission problem there. Still to come on RPM tonight. The hot rods are in California, milestone set to be reached, and jockeying for points, and an unusual occurrence for the man in the Castrol machine, and more from Indianapolis, and a nutty day for Jeff Burton, so to speak, how it cost him a shot at winning and could have been worse.
RPM Tonight is being brought to you by Ace Hardware. Ace is the place with the helpful hardware folks.
Well, usually in Northern California, describing something as a bombastic explosion of intensity and flavor means somebody's popped the cork on a new vintage wine. This weekend, it just means John Force is in the area. But the sensory delight in qualifying at Sears Point came from Whit Bazemore. 4.931 second elapsed time in qualifying, and that is a track record at Sears Point. Off to the eliminations, the aforementioned Mr. Force against Chuck Beal. Force, of course, in his familiar Castrol car, and Beal getting ahead and getting to the line first. 5.294 is the lapse time, and he veers over into the lane. Obviously didn't signal and wrecks into Force. With Beal getting in there now. So off to the funny car finals as Force went out in the first round again. Frank Pedregon and Whit Bazemore, who was the quickest qualifier, and the car still going there, is Mr. Bazemore. 301.74 his miles per hour as Whit Bazemore comes up with the victory there. So the quickest qualifier turns out to be the winner, but in the point standings, Mike Dunn still leads the way in top fuel, and that's the tightest race of all of these. Kenny Bernstein is in second despite the fact he's yet to win an event this year. Bernstein did notch his 500th round win. Force lost in the first round for the 2nd straight year at Sonoma, still with a sizable lead on his teammate Tony Pedregon, and Warren leads Kurt in the battle of the Johnson & Johnson, if you will, in the Pro Stock category. Well, still to come. They're not your in-laws. They're the world of outlaws, and they don't play by the rules, although they might play under some new rules. If they ever stick the landing, oh, that's outlaw action there. Dale Jarrett writes the rules in Winston Cup these days, and what he has coming up next, and those going nuts trying to catch him. But first, we want to talk about 2Night's question. It's brought to you by Jimmy Dean. Our question, who is the only Winston Cup driver in the top 20 in points not to lead a lap this season? Number 2, pencils down, papers to the front. 2Night's question brought to you by Jimmy Dean, who is the only Winston Cup driver in the top 20 in points not to lead a lap this season. Your answer? Bobby Hamilton, who's sitting in 14th. In fact, only 2 drivers in the top 25 have failed to lead a lap this season. Kenny Wallace, sitting in 25th, is the other one. Well, Saturday at the Brickyard, Jeff Burton, uncharacteristic problems in the pits, Frankie Stoddard's bunch. He was going to take on 4 in this stop, saw that Dale Jarrett was taking 2 and said, forget it, I'm getting back out there. Looked as if the lug nuts might have been loosened. The reason he did not get the black flag, though, NASCAR wasn't sure if they were loose, so had no reason for sure to bring him back in, and there has to be no doubt in that situation. And, of course, Dale Jarrett went on to win the race in commanding style. Burton may be the only car out there, or at least one of the few, that could have challenged him. But DJ's run is very similar to the stretch that Jeff Gordon went on last year. Jarrett has 16 top 5s, nothing worse than 11 since that season-opening disaster in Daytona. Gordon finished last season making the top 5 in 19 of 20 races, and Jarrett is following that foolproof method of winning a championship to a P thus far, and he's running away with the thing. RPM Tonight comes on TV 7 nights a week, as you know, Monday through Saturday nights at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Much more on the Brickyards Monday night, Brickyard Singular, with John Kernan at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Well, Bruton Smith Speedway Motorsports Incorporated has a deal with the World of Outlaws to hold races at their Winston Cup venues in Atlanta, Charlotte, Dallas, and Las Vegas, according to the Associated Press. The Outlaws already run in Vegas, and dirt tracks will be built at the other 3 sites. The news conference is set for Tuesday, It's unclear whether this means the O in O Bruton now stands for outlaw. Woo! Night of the big one right here. Actually, this is the big one. Sammy Swindell goes into the lead right off the start. Caution would come out a few laps later. Johnny Herrera and Darren Pittman, well, they're running on two wheels and on the sides, and that can't be good for you. I don't care what anybody says. More problems. Donnie Schatz in the 15 car. He's into the wall of voodoo. Another caution coming out a few laps later. The leader, Swindell, has some problems. He wants to drive like 15 miles an hour, and you can't win Outlaws races driving like that. Swindell's misfortune becomes Kevin Gobrecht's good fortune. He takes the checkered flag and gets $100 grand for winning the big one. So Mark Kinzer continues to lead the points.
You win this race, you definitely got momentum going into the Amoco Knoxville Nationals, and we need all the help we can get. I think we made a change for the best last week, and with the new cars, and hopefully we can just carry the momentum in and take that check next week too.
Mark Kinzer continues to lead the points race. The margins pretty much stayed the same recently over the dude. Mark Kinzer, 15 A feature wins, 38 top 5, finished the lead in both categories. He's led the most A feature laps, 456. Second highest, his cousin, the king of Outlaws, Steve Kinzer, with 223. For the second time in 3 races, the Cool Runnings have come home 1-2. The winner and points leader, Dario Franchitti, jumps into the driver's seat shortly.
In the Driver's Seat is brought to you by the irresistible taste that makes you say, did somebody say McDonald's?
And joining us now in the driver's seat is Dario Franchitti. Dario, thanks for being with us and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
The course out there at Belle Isle, they say nobody can pass, and it's frustrating at times, but you seem to like these types of temporary street courses. You always do well on them.
Well, I certainly like street courses. I've driven a few in my time. We seem to get the car right. The guys at Team Green do a good job here. We've had our second 1-2 in a row on a street course. So, yeah, it's working well, but definitely a certain amount of frustration from people today not being able to pass. I made one pass all day, which is on my teammate.
Now, you guys, speaking of teammates, you and Paul have gotten together a couple of times. So I want to know, when you're running 1-2, what's Barry Green saying to you on the radio?
Well, today he wasn't saying anything. He was quite happy with the way things were working, and I think it helped most of the time was under yellow, to be honest. But I think today had the edge on Paul, so there wasn't any problem about Paul trying to pass at that point. In Toronto, there's the same thing. He came on the radio and said, if Paul is faster, you have to let him through. But that didn't come to pass because I had the legs again and was able to pull away sort of 2-3 seconds and then hold the gap.
Now, very close to the end of the race, you guys were following around a pace car. It caused a problem for Juan Montoya. What happened with the pace car there?
We had a problem with the pace car was leaking fuel out. Not a small amount either. I would think sort of half a gallon at a time every time it went through a left-hand corner. So I kind of radioed in and said to my guys, look, can we get the pace car black flagged here? It's becoming a bit of a hazard out here. So they eventually sorted it out. They had other things to deal with the incidents that were going on, but they sorted it out, and we got a nice new pace car.
Now, you mentioned that you guys have finished 1-2 a couple of times this year. As far as developing a teamwork and team concept, is finishing 1-2 a product of that, or is it coincidence?
No, that is a product, definitely. We've been working extremely hard for the past 2 years since we came together as a team at the end of 1997. Paul and myself, we've had a couple of interesting times along the way, but we've worked incredibly hard at making this team as strong as possible. Barry has invested the money that's needed with the help from our sponsors such as Cool and Klein Tools. We've invested the money in the best engineers in the business and the best mechanics, and it seems to be coming to work.
Now, as far as people working behind the scenes, you got to be on top of the world. You're leading the points race now. Your teammate and you're working beautifully together, and Ashley Judd's rooting for you too, right?
Well, it's yeah, I'm pretty happy at the moment. The points lead doesn't really matter too much at this time of year. It's nice to be up there with a shout, and if we're in this position at the end of the season, then I'll be happy.
So, Dario, you can't get Ashley just to come into the shot and talk to us right now, right? And tell us what she thought of the race?
I wouldn't think so.
Okay, now, are you a Kentucky basketball fan? Because you're going to have to be if you two are going to hang together, you know.
Well, I have the T-shirt, but that's as far as it goes at the moment.
All right, Dario, we wish you all the luck in the world, and tell Ashley thanks for standing by and watching anyway.
Thank you very much.
He's a little hesitant to discuss that, wasn't he? But we meant no harm, just a little ET moment there. Gonzalo Rodriguez, we look at some more results. Scores in his first Champ Car race ever, finishing 12th for Penske. Little Al and Hattori side by side, though thankfully not the way they were at Homestead. Cristiano D'Amata knocked out by a racing deal that you saw. DeFer in 14th or worse for the 4th straight race. Robbie Gordon made it through only 23 laps, his 2nd straight finish in 25th or worse. Max Pappas, who nearly finished first last time out, finished last this time out. Well, the Winston Cup drivers are on the road again next weekend. They'll tackle Watkins Glen, so who's made this like his home track? We're gearing up for another Winston Cup weekend right after the break.
Gearing Up is brought to you by Toyota. Every day belongs to you. Make it count.
Gearing up for next week, you see that Mike Miller won his last trip to Martin, Michigan, hoping to repeat. Eddie Irvine looking for a three-peat, his 3rd straight F1 win. He leads the Drivers' Championship by 8 points. He's going through Budapest. Next page. Jeff Gordon, 2-time defending champ at Watkins Glen. You can see that race, by the way, on ESPN. And Adrian Fernandez, the defending champ at Lexington, Ohio, though he won't repeat. He's recovering from surgery on a broken wrist he suffered last week, or this weekend rather, in Detroit. You can see that race on ESPN as well. RPM Tonight comes back with a final word momentarily.
RPM Tonight is being brought to you by Pennzoil with Pure Base, made for the way you drive. Stop, go, Pennzoil.
A little more from the NHRA in Sonoma. Doug Colletto, your top fuel winner. Jim Yates did the honors in Pro Stock to get the victories there. Next RPM Tonight comes your way Monday night at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. The Jeff Burton lug nut controversy doubtless will be on the agenda. I'm Reese Davis. See you later.
RPM Tonight is a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Proud to be celebrating our 20th anniversary. For more